My name is Katerina Elias Trossman and I work for the World Resources Institute. I am part of a global team with colleagues based in Brazil, India, Indonesia, and the USA, and we're focused on urban climate resilience. The title of this project is Scaling the Urban Community Resilience Assessment in Informal Settlements. The Urban Community Resilience Assessment is a tool that helps cities identify differentiated needs for resilience planning in urban poor communities and is focused on current and future climate risks. The aims of the project are threefold. 1. To improve the resilience evidence base so that city officials and slum community members have new information about resilience needs of physical infrastructure, communities, and individuals. 2. To inform evidence-based project planning so that slum communities co-develop gender-inclusive operational plans that address resilience needs identified through UCRA and the wider city resilience planning process. And 3. To influence policy and replication. WRI will publish a guidance document, including training materials, for application in other cities or in use in national or state policy. The project is being implemented in 3 cities spread across 3 different countries, with WRI staff leading the project implementation on the ground in each city. In Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, we worked with 2 informal communities, Morro da Formiga and Morro dos Macacos. The communities were chosen as pilot project locations of the UCRA based on the following criteria. They were identified as high-risk, vulnerable communities by the Civil Defense. They were part of the Resilient Communities Program of the Civil Defense and UNISDR. Both communities had early warning systems installed, which are activated during heavy rains. Both communities had displayed varying needs regarding local capacity to increase their resilience. And finally, at the time, both communities presented low safety concerns for the contracted surveyors. To capture differential vulnerabilities across neighborhoods in Surat, India, we chose vulnerable communities living in differing housing settlements with varying levels of access to infrastructure and urban services. A high migrant population in Surat introduces an additional layer of social complexity. For example, older slum communities are more socially cohesive and therefore have increased resilience capacities. The 3 communities in Surat, which are Moraji Vasahat, the Ugat Site and Services Scheme, and the Kosad Awaz, were all selected based on 3 aspects. First, based on the varying conditions of the built environment of each settlement. 2, based on the varying levels of community cohesion related to the number of years residents have lived together. And 3, based on the varying access to governance and political leadership, based on different administrative and political jurisdictions in the city. Finally, to map differential vulnerabilities in Semarang, we selected 3 communities that lived in different parts of the city and are exposed to different climate risks. Tanjung Mas, a coastal community primarily dependent on fishing, Caligawe, a community in close proximity to the East Flood Canal, and Sucorejo, a community living in the northern hills at risk of frequent landslides and water shortages. We have applied UCRA in all 3 cities and have collected data, developed integrated analysis, and shared this with the local communities and city managers. In Rio and Surat, we have co-developed resilience solutions, which we are beginning to do in Semarang. These solutions have been written up as a local resilience strategy in Rio, which we will finalize in Surat and Semarang. Currently, we are developing a guidebook that describes how UCRA was applied in the 3 cities and takes users through the phases to apply UCRA in other cities. An UCRA application brings together a broad range of information to evaluate weaknesses and strengths with regard to the climate preparedness of urban poor communities and to address these differential needs. From the onset, we engaged local residents from urban poor communities in identifying resilience issues, potential solutions, and co-developing local resilience strategies. The Urban Community Resilience Assessment allows cities and communities to analyze data disaggregated by sex, age, income, and other variables, so we can get a better understanding of the differential needs between different groups of women and men. In Surat and Semarang, we use gender-segregated focus group discussions as a means to understand the challenges women and men face and to develop solutions including their participation. By collecting data and holding workshops that are sex disaggregated, this helps to mainstream gender into resilience analysis and planning. So, in conclusion, Building resilience requires not only investing in physical infrastructure and service provision, but ensuring that communities have access to and can develop their social capital, and that individuals are engaged in the resilience building process on the ground.